Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, the 20th of December. I'm Laura Cornfield, and this is IBA News broadcasting live from Jerusalem. We open with the terror attack in Berlin. The Foreign Ministry announced today that a 60-year-old Israeli citizen was among the 48 injured in last night's terror attack, in which 12 people were killed after a truck plowed into a crowded Christmas market. Officials said the Israeli underwent surgery overnight and his condition is not life-threatening, adding efforts are being made to locate his wife, who was with him. Late this afternoon, police said they believe the wrong suspect was arrested and the driver is still at large. IBA's Margot Dudkevich filed this report earlier today.
Early this morning, forensic teams were still sifting through the debris and devastation from last night's attack. The remains of collapsed market stalls and broken Christmas decorations were strewn across the street, along with silver sheeting used hours earlier to cover the victims. Police towed the truck from the site, and flags across the country were flown at half-mast. Before dawn, police commandos stormed a hangar at the Tempelhof airport, currently used as a refugee center. No further details were released for publication. German government officials still urge caution, saying they were hesitant in calling last night's incident a terror attack. Germany's interior minister said while it appears the driver deliberately steered his truck into the crowd, it was still too premature to describe the incident terror, saying one must be cautious in using such terminology because of its psychological effect on the entire country. The Christmas market located in the front of the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church in western Berlin was crowded with shoppers when the truck plowed in to passers-by. The driver fled the vehicle and was caught shortly after by police. Local media reports suggested the man was an asylum seeker from Pakistan or Afghanistan who had arrived in the country in February this year. Ambulances rushed the injured to hospital as police cordoned off the area. Inside the truck, police found the body of a man identified as a Polish national. The Polish owner of the truck said his cousin had been driving the truck transporting steel rods from Poland, but that he had been unable to reach him from the early afternoon hours. Police said the body found in the truck was not that of the driver and are investigating if the truck was stolen before it left Poland. The Polish truck company owner rejected claims that his cousin carried out the attack, saying it's possible he was abducted by the assailant. As European countries heightened their alert ahead of the upcoming Christmas holidays, Germany was added to the ever-growing list of countries struck by terror. While no one has claimed responsibility for last night's attack, the Islamic State, responsible for waging a string of attacks in France and Brussels this year, previously called on its followers to carry out terror attacks across Europe. Margot Dudkevich, IBA News.
Here at home, Israeli Arab lawmaker Bazel Ghatas was today questioned for over 3 hours at the police 433 Lahav fraud unit on suspicion of conspiring to commit a crime, fraud, breach of trust, as well as smuggling prohibited items into a prison. Ghatas, a member of the Balad party of the Joint Arab List, was summoned for questioning after he was observed by police allegedly smuggling mobile phones to 2 Palestinian security prisoners incarcerated at the Ktziot prison in the south. As he left the jail, he was informed by police waiting outside that he was wanted for questioning. According to the law, police must receive permission from the Attorney General before they are allowed to question Knesset members, and were therefore unable to detain the lawmaker when he left the prison. Speaking at the Likud faction meeting, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last night criticized Yesh Atid party leader Yair Lapid for instructing his party not to sign a petition organized by Zev Elkin, the Jerusalem Affair Minister and Minister of Environmental Protection. Elkin's petition calls to enact the recently legislated impeachment law and start proceedings to expel MK Ghatas from the Knesset. Netanyahu said he will gladly sign the petition, adding that whoever harms the security of the State of Israel has no place in the Knesset. Lapid said an impeachment against Ghatas could drag on for years, and that he prefers to ask Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit to strip the MK's parliamentary immunity that would allow a criminal probe to proceed. Police announced today that a second suspect involved in an international corruption case led by the OECD was arrested this morning. He's suspected of bribing a foreign public official and money laundering and was taken for questioning at the National Fraud Investigations Unit. His arrest is in addition to the questioning of prominent business tycoon Benny Steinmetz, who is suspected of paying out bribes to the tune of tens of millions of dollars to senior public officials in Guinea to protect his diamond mining interests. Yesterday, the Rishon LeZion Magistrates Court sent Steinmetz to 2 weeks house arrest. He is also temporarily barred from leaving the country and was asked to deposit his passport with authorities. The investigation is being conducted in cooperation with law enforcement officials in the U.S., Switzerland, Guinea, and Israel. Following a night of political wrangling and heated debates, the Knesset's Finance Committee approved the state budget for 2017 and 2018 by a majority of 8-3. The two-year budget, which will total 906.8 billion shekels, now needs to pass its second and third readings and votes that are expected to take place later this week. Early this morning, committee chairman M.K. Moshe Gafni said he was pleased with the final outcome, stressing it was an extremely hard challenge to pass the budget law and the arrangements bill which accompanies it within such a short period of time. Gafni added that committee members thoroughly reviewed each clause and inserted imported changes that will benefit public interest, the economy, and the state. 13 new justices were sworn in at a festive ceremony at the president's residence in Jerusalem. Among the newly appointed judges, there are 7 women, including 2 judges of Ethiopian descent. Speaking at the ceremony, President Reuven Rivlin said he rejects claims that the selection of judges has become a political process, stressing they are chosen based on their skills and professional integrity. Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked congratulated the new judges, commending the selection committee for choosing such a distinguished and dignified list of professionals, particularly the 2 Ethiopian judges, whom she said are a groundbreaking example to all. Among the new appointees is Judge Miriam Banki, mother of Shira Banki, the 16-year-old girl who was fatally stabbed last year while marching in the annual Gay Pride Parade. The Knesset's Constitution and Law Committee today unanimously approved the government's decision to publish the protocols and classified information from the state inquiry into the missing Yemenite children affair. The emotionally charged case relates to the disappearance of hundreds of babies and toddlers of new immigrants, mostly from Yemen, between the years 1948 and 1954. In most incidents, parents were told that their newborn children had suddenly died. The parents have been charging for years that the children were still alive and were abducted and given or sold to families of Ashkenazi descent. The Prime Minister now needs to officially approve publication of the papers. Once he signs on it, the material will be uploaded to an internet site and will be available for the general public. Public trust in the government, the political echelon, and the media has dropped sharply over the past year. This according to the Israel Democracy Institute, which published its annual Democracy Index for 2016. The report shows a significant drop of public trust in government institutions and politicians. Among those least trusted are the political parties, which only gained 14% of the public's trust, with the Knesset garnering only 26.5% of the public's support, compared to 35% last year. The High Court of Justice was the relatively highest-ranking institution, gaining the trust of 56% of the public, with the IDF coming in first place as the most trusted and reliable body. The report also noted tension between Jews and Arabs as the most serious point of friction, stressing while the majority believe in freedom of speech, there is a low tolerance level for critical views, especially against those who speak out against the state. After receiving the report yesterday, President Reuven Rivlin said the soul of every democracy is the existence of political alternatives, ideas, and willingness to enable a pluralistic environment that encourages criticism and challenges conflict. Turkish police arrested a gun-wielding suspect outside the U.S. Embassy in Ankara overnight after he allegedly attempted to force his way inside the compound and fired shots in the air. The incident occurred just hours after the televised assassination of Andrei Karlov, the 62-year-old Russian ambassador to Turkey that was caught on camera. This morning, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was among other world leaders to condemn the murder, saying it is a stark reminder of the need for unity in the face of terrorism. In a televised address, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the killing of the ambassador was aimed at harming the ties between Moscow and Ankara in an attempt to derail the peace process in Syria. Putin vowed to strengthen his country's fight against terror, warning the ramifications will be felt on the ground. Karlov was speaking at the opening of a photographic exhibition on Russia at a gallery in Ankara when an off-duty Turkish policeman shot him. As Karlov falls to the ground, his Turkish attacker screams Allah Akbar and save Aleppo. Shortly after, he was shot dead by police, who identified him as 22-year-old Mevlut Altintas. Swiss police this morning confirmed that the body of a man found near the Islamic Center in Zurich shortly after 3 worshippers were injured in a shooting attack was that of the assailant. New details were released concerning his identity. In last night's shooting attack, a man wearing dark clothing stormed into the center and opened fire on worshippers, injuring 3 before fleeing. The 3 victims were evacuated to hospital. No further details concerning the attack or its motives have yet been released. Government officials in Tunisia say there is evidence that a foreign organization was behind the assassination of Hamas engineer Mohammed Zawiri, who was shot dead at point-blank range as he sat in his car outside his home in Sfax last Thursday. At a press conference, the Tunisian Interior Minister gave no details concerning which organization was involved, but said 10 Tunisians had been arrested and 2 foreigners suspected of plotting the attack had fled the country. Hamas accused Israel's intelligence agency of being involved in the death of the engineer. A bit of culture now. The 18th annual Jerusalem Jewish Film Festival will open at the Cinematheque in the capital this coming weekend. During the 6-day festival, over 40 Israeli and international films will be screened, running the gamut from feature and documentaries to short and animated films. The event features works focusing on Jewish identity, faith, art, music, history, and even food. Also highlighted is a selection of films and events dedicated to the subject of intermarriage, both here at home as well as in the diaspora. This year, the Schumann Award for Jewish Cinema will be presented with a prize of €4,000. The Jewish Film Festival has become a magnet for local audiences, as well as a major cultural event. It will be open December 24th and run through December 29th at the Jerusalem Cinematheque. And in a country that has it all, we can go from a Jewish film festival to Christmas preparations in the city of Bethlehem. After several years of Israeli-Palestinian violence, the relative calm this year has drawn thousands of tourists who arrived in the country to celebrate the Christmas holiday season. As part of a busy itinerary, which includes visits to Jerusalem and Nazareth, many pilgrims are flocking to the West Bank city of Bethlehem, the site where Christians believe Jesus was born. Hotel owners in Bethlehem say that this season they can finally boast that hotels are booked to full capacity. The Palestinian Tourism Ministry says the number of hotel reservations has significantly increased and that tourism inside the PA is on a rise in general.
Here we had an increase in number of visitors coming to Palestine in general and to Bethlehem in specific. The increase, now the tourists who visited Bethlehem and Palestine were about 2.3 million. The first quarter of the year was not a good season for the tourism sector in Palestine, but then afterwards we witnessed an increase and continuous increase in number of visitors and overnight stays in Bethlehem. The last quarter was really booming. We received many tourists from all over the world.
Very nice place, very historical, and we came to see everything: Jerusalem, Nazareth, Bethlehem, and it's very beautiful, very historical.
In local money matters, shares were up on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange while the shekel strengthened in foreign currency trading. Here are the numbers. And the IBA weather team says tonight temperatures will be unseasonably cold and tomorrow will remain partly cloudy with a slight rise in temperatures and chances of rain in the north. Here are the highs and lows at home and abroad. And that's all for this newscast. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Until then, I'm Laura Cornfield, wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.